the way I think I look at challenges is it's game day. You know, with my mom, I thought immediately, it's game day. You're prepared for this. You have a strong faith. You're going to figure it out. Any kind of marathon, any kind of hike, I think any kind of challenge, you want to think, I'm prepared for this. You know, I'm built for this. I can handle it. I can do it. Yeah.
Do you know Kirby's smart? Because I think you need to be on his coaching team. How do you find joy in life's difficult moments? Life is full of challenges, both big and small. Come explore some sticky moments with the women of Reed Memorial and be inspired to find, keep, and share joy in life's journey. On behalf of Reed Memorial, join me, Joy Maple, for our podcast study and helpful resource page to encourage you to find joy in life's sticky moments. I am so excited to introduce our next guest. She is currently an elder of our Children's Ministry Committee at Reed Memorial, and she's been a lifelong member for about 25 years. That, to me, is a long time, and we're so excited to spend some time with her today because she brings light and love to everybody that she meets. She always has a positive attitude, and if you get some time to talk with her, she's always going to give you a word of encouragement and a smile. And so I am just so excited to welcome Anna Wilson to our next episode of Finding Joy in Life's Sticky Moments. Hey, Anna, how are you?
Hey, Joy. Boy, that was a nice introduction. Thank you.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved.
Oh, you're generous.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself if they don't know you.
Sure. So I'm married, married to Trip. We've been married for 25 years. Been lots of fun. Been through good times, bad times, all good. He's the rock of our family for sure, and just a happy, fun partner to be with. So we have two children. Sally is 21. She's a junior at the University of Georgia. Thomas is 19, and he is a freshman at the University of Georgia.
So you're an empty nester.
Yes, and what a fun time for them to be in Athens this year. I mean, what a great year. So we miss them, of course. We are empty nesters, but they saw quite a lot of us in the fall. We were in Athens about every weekend, anytime there was a football game. So
were they like, Mom, Dad, come on. We're at college now.
We finally got to a point where we said, you know what, y'all go do your thing. We're kind of doing our thing here. So,
good for you.
Good. No, but it's been a fun year. So I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I grew up in Augusta. I have my family is here. Both of my parents are here. I have great parents. I have two older brothers that both live here with their families. So, I've grown up here and left a little while and came back and glad to be back. It's a great place to raise a family.
It sure is. So you are the youngest in the family.
I am.
Wow. So now your whole family, do they get together very often?
We do.
Spend a lot of time together?
Yeah, we do.
How about you and your parents? Are you one to bebop over and hang out with Mom and Dad?
Absolutely. So yes, my mom is remarried and lives a couple of doors up, and then my dad also lives really close by, and we see each other all the time. So, and a lot's been going on with our family recently, especially with my mom. So we're very thankful that we're all here, and we get to see a good bit of her, and I guess I'll get more into that.
Sure. You can tell, definitely. So you all are a big Georgia Bulldog family.
We are.
And you talked about this being a great year. It sure did start off great, didn't it?
Man, so go Dogs.
I know.
2022, January 10th, best day ever. Georgia finally beats Alabama. I'm thinking, all year we're so prepared. We got to do this. Come on, Dogs. Come on, Kirby. And we do. So Tripp and Thomas are in Indy for the game. Sally's in Athens. Wow. So much fun. I'm holding down the fort in Augusta on top of the world. January 11th, Tuesday, I get a call that afternoon around 4:00, and my mom said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm at home." Like, what in the world? She lives 4 doors up. And I was like,
can't you come on over?
Yeah, what's going on? And she said, "You need to come up." And I said, "Okay." So I instantly thought something's definitely not right. So I ran up, and she said, "Well, I found a lump." And I said, "Oh my goodness, okay. Tell me about it. What's going on?" Anyway, a funny thing, I've been thinking through all this. When she said that, I immediately just went into this unemotional state where I thought, we're just going to figure it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like we're going to solve
we're
this
just gonna
issue.
figure
Don't
it out.
even.
We're going to figure it out. So anyway, very long story short, she had breast cancer, pretty advanced, and anyway, it was a shock to all of us at her age, and she's in
Sure.
great health. She looks like she's 20 years younger than she is, but anyway, very long story short, she ended up having very advanced breast cancer, but she's going through chemo now, and she's got radiation after that, and she's really doing great. So, what we thought was going to be just, I don't know, a fun, great year after COVID and both kids in school and all the fun stuff has been a bit of a challenge, but we're working through it for sure. She is.
Totally a sticky moment. But what gave you the insight that you had when you went up there and had that moment with her? Why
Right.
do you have that ability to say, "Hey, I got this. Let's figure this out."
Yeah, well, the ironic thing is, so she, of course, has breast cancer. 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
And, of course, that was such a shock. But
So, all right.
Yeah.
4 years ago, kids were at
4 years ago.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were home.
Sally was still at home.
Yep.
And you've been diagnosed. How was that moment for you?
Oh, gosh.
Do you remember?
I do. It was frightening, but again, I think I felt like it's okay. You're going to figure it out. You know what I mean? You're going to figure it out. I read a quote about if you're starting a new business, the one thing that you need to remember is you're going to figure it out. So don't be overwhelmed with anything ever. And I've, I think when tragic things happen, I try to think you're going to figure it out. You have a strong faith. You've got a great network. You're going to get through it. So just press on. But anyway, yeah, it was pretty shocking for me when all of that happened. And honestly, I had such a great church. I had such a great network. I had my mother-in-law, my friends, of course, my mom, my parents. Trip was amazing. Sally and Thomas were amazing. The experience was rough, but for the most part, I'm not sad that it happened because I think I learned so much about how gracious people are and how kind people are and sort of how you can get through anything, that it was worth it. Do you know what I mean? It was worth it. So it was tough, but it's just been an interesting paradigm shift for my mom to get me through that really tough year. I did chemo for a year. And then, to turn around a few years later and to honestly, it's a privilege to be
able to give back to her.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And to be in the same city. It's, we're a lot more intentional with our time. It's been a blessing for us to have this time together. I go with her to chemo, which I wouldn't miss it for the world. And, honestly, we sit there and we laugh and we talk and, she's pretty miserable, but she puts her game face on. And, it's been a blessing for me to be able to go through that with her and for my brothers as well. And for her husband, Scott, who's been fantastic. So, she's fortunate that she has all of these resources and that she's got just a great, she's got people bringing meals. She's got tons of people praying for her. So we feel really good about that and feel very lucky to be in a situation where we have those resources.
So going back in your story just a little bit, how did you approach life before your diagnosis, before any of this sticky moment happened between you and your mom and your own personal journey? How was life for you? Were you just like, do? I mean, what was life like?
Yeah, good question. I think certainly the older you get, the more you realize that life is short. It's funny. I remember a key moment in my life. In 2008, I did the Chicago Marathon, and it was 100 degrees in October. And it could have been 20 degrees, and it could have been 100 degrees.
But you got the 100-degree one.
Which is okay because I'm from Augusta, so I was used to it. But I remember I trained for that race. People were like dying. It was crazy. It was awful, and it was so hot. And there were police spraying you with hoses and telling you to quit running, which was the best thing that ever happened to me because I thought, oh my God, tell me to quit running and I'll never quit. I'd trained and I thought, oh, I'm going to finish this daggum thing for sure. So anyway, I distinctly remember maybe mile 16, 17 thinking, you can do anything if you can run 26 miles in 100-degree weather, you can do anything. And it was sort of a time where I remember thinking, just keep that thought with you. Life is not going to be easy. Jane Howington's Bible study, smartest thing she's ever said is, the sooner you realize that life is not easy, the easier it's going to be. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, just,
the way you're going to be able to handle it.
It's the way it is. So anyway, I think I've always kind of thought, you can get through it. You can do anything. Of course, when I was diagnosed with cancer, that was a challenge. I really didn't worry about dying, though. And I still don't worry about it coming back, because we know that this is not our final destination. I mean, don't we all know that?
Right.
Thank God we have faith, and we know that we're moving on to heaven, and the only way to get there is to leave this place. So, maybe that'll change for me one day, but I didn't worry a whole lot about the cancer. I thought, what's going to happen, it's going to happen. You've got to have the best attitude you can for your children and for Tripp, and you got to get through this thing. And so I would say that's kind of how I got through that. But I had so much, I had so many great friends, and, I just had so many happy moments in that's kind of what I remember. It's like having a baby. You don't remember how terrible it was. You just are glad to have
you got that
baby.
dividend, and you're like, and your dividend was all those positive experiences and the love that people showed you and the support that you got from your community, your community of faith, and just friends at large and family. So that's awesome. Well, now, how was it to share this kind of diagnosis with your children? Because you've had this life of like you said, where you had a moment where you figured out, well, I can do this, I can get through anything. But kids, I mean,
right.
What? Sally must have been around 17, 18,
Exactly.
16, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And so you think, gosh, they don't have those kind of experiences. So,
right.
So do you think they were panicked? And how did you share with them in a way that you could provide peace for them?
Oh, they were scared to death, I feel like. And we tried to be very transparent. Thomas was a freshman in high school. And, that was a lot. I remember Sally wrote a college essay. She had just hiked Kilimanjaro, and her college essay was so meaningful to me. She said, I thought that it'd be the biggest climb of my life. And she said, literally, she came home and learned that I had cancer. And she said, new climb. That one, the 18 or 19, 341, elevation, not so relevant anymore. This one's going to be bigger. But it was all fine. They were great. They, thanks to you, literally, they have a strong faith. And, they have grown up at Reed. They know who they are. They know that that ultimately, I feel like they know that things are going to be okay, because they know it's not all up to them. It's not all up to us. And they were great. They were very strong and helpful, and they handled it really well. Tripp was amazing, I'll have to say. And they all
to
were.
Tripp.
Yeah, Tripp was amazing. And my mom and my mother-in-law, people just, everybody was great. So, but Tripp, Sally and Thomas handled it well. It was tough because we didn't, you can't say everything's going to be fine. But it was,
right. Yes.
So they handled it well. They handled it well.
So do you think your faith changed in any way during your cancer journey? Did it grow? Did it?
Absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely. So it's something I hadn't really thought about. As a mom, you're in control.
Mm-hmm.
You
think you are.
Yeah.
You try to.
We like to think we're in control. But I couldn't be. I couldn't drive. Thomas wasn't 16. There were college visits for Sally that I couldn't go on. I couldn't cook. I couldn't, there were a lot of things I couldn't do. I just didn't feel well. So it was, liberating is probably not the best way to say it, but you kind of had to give it up. There were days when I just would say, I can't do it. And thankfully, I had
Make
friends.
your own peanut butter and jelly.
Yes. But yeah, I think my faith grew in that, I know who I belong to. I knew all along in the end it was going to be okay. And I think I just had to sit back and say, I trust you to get me through this, and to get, more importantly, to get my family through it. You know, I knew I'd be fine, but I needed my children to not be scarred and you know, scared to death. And you know what? God showed up. I mean, we all trusted, and it worked.
Yes.
So.
Well, and having that confidence in God's, you know, plan for you and for your family is uber, you know, important. And that isn't something everyone has, you know, and you definitely have it. And I think sharing that with your children and just kind of being so transparent, like you said, saying, hey, you know, we don't know what the outcome of this is, but we're going to do everything in our power to kind of take care of business.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think you touched on something a second ago about women, and I think not just you, but I think most women, we are large and in charge at home, and we're gonna get this done, you know. And so we're immediately in solving mode. Like, how are we gonna handle this? How are we gonna tell the children? How are we gonna function in our daily life? The list goes on.
Right.
And so to just like relax and just turn it over to God and say, hey, I can't do dinner. I can't drive you to practice. We're gonna have to figure out another way.
And you know, it all gets done.
And isn't that amazing? Yeah. You're like,
it all gets done. Wow.
We thought we were so important.
Yeah, that's kind of humbling for sure.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love to ask all my guests is, during this sticky moment, did you feel like finding joy was a choice or just a byproduct of the situation?
Oh, I think absolutely a choice. And I'll add in, you know, the way I think I look at challenges is game day. You know, with my mom, I thought immediately, it's game day. You're prepared for this. You have a strong faith. You're going to figure it out. Any kind of marathon, any kind of hike, I think any kind of challenge, you want to think, I'm prepared for this. You know, I'm built for this. I can handle it. I can do it. Yeah.
Do you know Kirby's smart? Because I think you need to be on his coaching team. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you are coming up with a plan, a person, a method of getting to the World Series, to getting to the, SEC championship, getting to, the life goals. I mean, you're doing it. You're saying, okay, we're going to do this. And that's amazing,
Well, I like to think about it that way because you break it down and it's doable.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're doing a strenuous, a marathon, you think, oh, I'm prepared and I'm going to finish this. And I think in life, with my mom, for example, or whatever a challenge may be, hopefully we are prepared and we have the foundation and we know that we have help along the way and that our prayers are answered. And I feel like it gives you a teensy bit of control with it's game day and let's figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, it sounds like everything, although they are tough moments that you've definitely endured, were there any dark moments? Because it sounds like you're like, I got this, we're good, see ya. I mean, were there any moments where you're like, oh, this is getting long, or I'm getting tired, or this is just weary, or when your mom's diagnosis came about, yes, you went into solve it, game day mode, but was there a moment where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to face this.
Yeah. When she was first diagnosed, her surgical oncologist is fantastic. She's a friend of ours. And she came over to my mom's. Well, I'll backtrack a second. I saw my mom's diagnosis before she did because I had set her up on my chart. And
oh, wow.
It was scary. I had been checking all day thinking it should show up. It did. She had her surgery and the pathology was supposed to be back. And I'm checking all day. And anyway, I see it before she does. And I call friend Karen Ye and say, oh my gosh, this doesn't look good. And Karen said, oh my God, how'd you see it before I saw it? So anyway, Karen reads it and says, I think we need to go over there. And it was very scary because at that point, she basically said, if, we're going to have a few options. We've got to do a CT scan. If the CT is not clear, there's not a whole lot we can do. She didn't say it exactly that way, but I knew it.
Right.
I mean, she basically said there will be no chemo or radiation, So we did the CT scan 2 days later, and thank God it was clear. But, yeah, I mean, that would have been a totally different ball game in that case if if the CT hadn't come back clear.
Sure.
So yeah, that would have been, I don't mean to be so gung ho, but truly, I do believe she'll be fine.
Sure.
But
So Anna, were there any really difficult moments in your journey? I mean, you're saying like to me, like, yes, if we approach it like a game day, da da da, and I'm like, yeah, you get me so pumped up. But was there a moment where you were like, whew, I don't know, I mean, or a moment that you just were weary, that you just felt like, oh, this is tough?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I had surgery. I kind of thought that would be it, and we really did. We were very naive, I have to say, but we kind of thought I'd have surgery and it's all fine, and it turned out to not be so good. So then I realized I'd have to do chemo. But anyway, even before that started, I got several infections, and I had, just multiple setback after setback after setback, and several surgeries that I didn't anticipate. And I do remember, I got really frustrated at one point. Sally was like up for homecoming queen, and they said, no, so sorry, you can't, we're going to do surgery that day. And I was like, no, I
got to be there for my girl.
I'm not doing that, and I remember like wailing in my room, just going, what, I was just feeling sorry for myself. And it was awful for a minute. And then
because it kind of seems like, I correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like life goes on and you can't be a part of it, and you want to be a part of it even if you don't feel great.
Right. And I wanted to participate in everything for Sally and Thomas. So, so I was feeling sorry for myself and kind of got over it and said, no, I'm not doing surgery tomorrow. We got to do it another day, or not tomorrow, whatever, however it worked out. But that was brutal. All of the infections I didn't anticipate, and it's like the little bumps in the road, you don't see them, and you think you've got your eyes on the prize. And, after that many setbacks, I got real frustrated, but got through it.
And how did you do that? What do you think helped you? I mean, was it listening to music every day? Was it a conversation you had with somebody? Was it your prayer life? Was it, something?
Yeah, I mean, definitely prayer, definitely friends. I mean, I vented for sure. I mean, I have such a great group of friends, and they listened to me complain, and they did, and they didn't. They just listened, and that was very helpful. And Trip was great, and I tried to not lose it a whole lot, but when I did, everybody kind of said, "Okay, that's all right. You can do that. That's fine. You're sick. You can do that." And then I felt better.
I think that's one of the best pieces of advice you can give to somebody who's caregiving for somebody else, is just to listen, because when you're going through something as important and as serious as cancer, you're trying to process, and sometimes, if you get up in your head, it gets all crazy. But if you verbalize it and share it with somebody, sometimes it seems so much more manageable or clear.
I agree. That's such a nice outlet. Yeah, absolutely. And it was so helpful to be able to depend on, friends, family, church. Absolutely. So they got me through.
Well, so you found that helpful in your journey. How are you helping or hoping to help your mother in her journey?
Ooh, I think it's so much harder at her age to get that news of a diagnosis. At my age, I was 30. Just kidding. I was late 40s or whatever, mid to late 40s. Yeah. And, I was
still very, very young for a cancer diagnosis.
True. But young enough that my friends could rally. At my mom's age, she's got a great network, but her friends are aging too. And, you got to face it. At that age, that transition is coming.
Yes.
And again, if you believe and it's going to be so awesome, it's going to be so much better, and the only way to get there is to leave where you are. You got to keep that in mind. But my mom's been a rock star, but I think it's just been harder. It has to be. I mean, it's hard. I mean, to go through what she's going through. She's already, she's older. She doesn't feel great every day. She won't tell you that. But I know chemo wore me out. I mean, it is exhausting and you don't
And you
feel
were a
well.
marathon runner. Is your
Well,
mom a marathon runner at her age? You see?
She's pretty cool. She doesn't really do marathons, but she works out and all that good stuff. But,
So she's pretty active. So that's
she's very
great.
active.
Yes.
Yeah, she's very active. But it's hard at that age. I feel like that's such a blow when that was really unexpected. And she's handling it well, but it's a blow.
Mm-hmm. So what did you learn most about yourself in this journey of, from your cancer journey to maybe even being a caregiver for your mother? What do you think that you didn't think about before?
Well, I think we're so lucky to have each other.
Sure.
I mean, what if you were going through this without such a great network? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I have a friend who's been through pretty terrible things. I mean, pretty brutal things. And she gets up every day. She goes to work. She puts a bright smile on. She's energetic. She's encouraging. And she's a great role model. And that's you. I mean, you do that. You literally think about that. You do that every time I see you, you're smiling. And you've been through some of the hardest things I think that people could go through, but you do it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You just do it. Don't you think? I mean, you know better than anybody. You just figure it out and you just do it.
Well, you do. But I also think that it's, again, your support group and the angels that God has given you on this earth, to be listeners, to be carpool drivers, right, to shepherd you in some way, to fill that void, to give you that peace and that comfort so that you can heal in this journey. And I love what you keep saying about, we are on a destination. This is not the final destination here. And I think we get caught up in that, oh, this is great, this is it. And we forget that there is something else even far greater coming down the pike. But we get kind of anxious about that. And I think sometimes it's because we're mothers and we think, well, we're not done raising our children yet. They still need us. Or I'm not done being a wife, or I'm not done, being an employee or making this kind of influence in this place and this time. And so I loved hearing what you're saying about, hey, let's all keep this in perspective, y'all. I mean, no matter where you are, whether you're 40-something, whether you're 70-something, this journey is temporary. And I think that that's such a huge thing.
Well, I agree with you. But I'll say, though, Joy, I mean, it would be devastating, I feel like, to leave my family right now. It'd be devastating. I mean, you can't sugarcoat that. Mm-hmm. If I knew that I was dying and I wasn't going to see my grandchildren or my Thomas's wife or Sally's, you know what I mean? That would be absolutely devastating. But again, it's what you're dealing with. So yeah, I'm knock on wood that hopefully that's not the case. But yeah.
So one of the things in kind of my own journey, I call those like moments where, like you said, even in the hospital room where your friends are laughing with you and you're cutting up at chemo with your mom. This is a yuck moment. But it's also like the sweet spot of your faith because you see God at work in everything you do. And so you almost want to stay in those moments all the time. And that sounds weird because people go, ooh, you must be, into like stress and whatever. And you're like, no, but you see God at work in all things. And sometimes getting back to regular life and routines, you kind of go, okay. And all of a sudden you forget or you lose sight. And so I think about your journey and your cancer journey, and as hard as it is, what is one positive thing that came out of that very difficult moment that you hope to keep continuing in your day-to-day life each and every day from here forward?
Yeah, great question. So I think that difficult situations definitely provide you with some clarity. I mean, humor, I have to say, has carried me for a good 51 years.
25, I thought.
Truly, I mean, truly, that has been such a gift. And if you can laugh, and there are a lot of things to laugh at. I think humor is such a gift and something that I don't know, like I'm so attracted to people that are funny, and it keeps, just humor has helped me to keep things a little bit lighter. And maybe just to kind of stay on the bright side of things for the most part.
I got you. I got you. So other than humor, what is one piece of advice you would give somebody either receiving care or in the caregiver role, during a journey? So you said humor is one thing, and that's one thing that you hope to kind of continue onward. But is there anything else that you think that would be one piece of advice you might give somebody?
To press on as hard as it sounds, and I know people get exhausted, and we're at an age now where we're taking care of parents and taking care of children. And again, while it is a privilege, it's exhausting, but I guess take care of yourself. Make sure that you're healthy so that you can help others, and try to have endurance, try to press on as hard as that is. No situation is permanent, in general, everything's temporary. And if you can just kind of get to the finish line, no matter what that finish line is, if you can help somebody get there, if you're prepared and you've taken care of yourself and you're healthy, hopefully you're in a better position to be able to do that.
So, Anna, what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody either going through this journey themselves or caregiving for someone to kind of recenter yourself or to, help you get through this difficult journey?
Sure. So I think you've got to take care of yourself if you're going to help yourself or take care of someone else, and you got to stay balanced. I know when I didn't feel well, I would still kind of make myself get up and go walk outside and walk my dog May, and just kind of try to be as normal as I could and be, not too active like I would want to be, but just to kind of stay balanced and get outside, kind of have a distraction, if you will, and then kind of come back in and be, I guess, re-energized, refreshed, and, kind of in a better position to just press on and keep rolling. Definitely a sense of balance, I think, was very, very helpful for me during that time.
Well, it sounds like it would be, because you have to spend that energy to get well, but you also want to enjoy all the things you did before your diagnosis. So you're like, okay, how can I find a balance between the quote unquote normal things of life and healing and getting well? And you have to do both. And so you're right, finding that balance and that humor in the situation and just being anchored in your faith and having a great network all sound like things that really help someone get through a sticky moment. And man, have you gotten through a sticky moment? And we are praying for your mama. She is such a joy as well. And so I'm sure that she's going to press on. And I'm going to see if this podcast goes viral, because maybe Kirby's going to hire you on the team, as kind of like advisor. Anna comes up and gets the back seat, to tell those players,
That's right.
Yeah.
If we want another natty, he should think about it.
I think so. I mean, shoot, you've done it, come on. That's awesome. Well, I am so grateful for your time with us today. I loved sharing your story with our listeners, and you just have such a great way about you. And I hope to have you back for another episode of Finding Joy in Life's Sticky Moments.
Well, you are generous. Thank you, Joy. I loved being here.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
We would like to invite your child to join us for the best week of the summer, beginning Monday, June 6th through Friday, June 10th for Vacation Bible School. Reed Memorial, along with the Church of the Good Shepherd, is so excited to unite in a fun, faith-filled week. Our theme is Food Truck Party on a Roll with God. Each day we will gather at 9:30 at Reed Memorial to explore one of the many feeding stories from the Bible in a fun, hands-on way. If your child is ages 4 through 5th grade, we invite you to sign up with the link provided. If you have an older child, 6th grade through senior year in high school, we have a place for them as well. They are welcome to serve as crew leaders. To sign up to be a crew leader, please email Joy Maple at jmaple@reedchurchaugusta.org. We look forward to seeing you for the best week of the summer. Join us every second and fourth Wednesday of the month on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our website, reedchurchaugusta.org.